Alon, what's going on, man? It's been a while.
Derek, it has been a while. Just filling in for Steven because I guess he's got another wedding to go to. That man has a lot of weddings. I mean, he knows a lot of people who are always getting married. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Was that a alarm for the
That was
podcast to start?
emergency alarm, yeah, for podcast.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you become a married man yourself, you get invited to the married club, I guess. So he's got to go to a lot of weddings. He's got one this Saturday and one next Saturday, but I think he'll be good. The next one's in Gilroy. What's going on, everybody? Just your opinion, man. Steven is out of town in L.A., as we said, going to a wedding. I got Alon to say filling in. What's going on, Alon?
Just doing well. Just been obviously living here in Las Vegas, so just been working for the university, calling some soccer games over on the Mountain West Network, and that's been going well. And just kind of waiting to get this football season started, the NFL season that is. Obviously, college is kind of already started, but not. We're not completely into the thick of the schedule. We've only had a few marquee games so far, but got a pretty good one today.
And be honest, you're an Alabama guy. Nick Saban's your dude. You're kind of getting sick of all this Deion Sanders talk.
No, I'm not sick of. No, of course not. That actually, yeah, Derek, I texted you. I was like, that was amazing what Deion Sanders did, and you responded how big of a win it was. But I think what I texted you was just how big leadership is in college football. If you just have the right leader at the top of your program who knows how to recruit, and hell, Deion Sanders brought in 86 new players, so of course Colorado was going to be better than they were last year. But it just shows you if you have the right personality or the right person at the top, you can get a lot done. Even what's amazing what Deion did is he's able to get results year one, and for most people, I mean, I thought it was going to take a few years. I just didn't see them going toe to toe with even a TCU that early. But yeah.
No, it was a good win, and I got Nebraska and Colorado on right now. Looks like a lively atmosphere in Boulder. So be keeping track of that game. But you got to admit though, people are acting like, yes, it was amazing what Dion did last week, and let's see if it continues. But I don't know. Let's just see how Colorado plays as time goes on. They're ranked 22 right now. Let's just see, like if Dion ever had to play in Alabama, how would they stack up? Just like the premier schools. But it was very impressive what he did last week against TCU.
No, it was, and I know this week Dion had a rule instituted, kind of paying homage to the rivalry of Colorado against Nebraska. No red, no wearing any red this week for the Colorado players. Just don't want to give into that Nebraska side. But yeah, what Dion did, I think it was great. But like you said, against some of these top programs, premier programs, like the top 10 programs, or even let's just take TCU out of it and just say, what if they played maybe Texas, who is built different than other teams in the same conference, even though Texas is basically an SEC school now. I don't think it would go as well.
Oh, they would have kicked Texas's ass.
You think so?
I'm not high on Texas this year, and I say that because both of our schools are playing today. I went to Texas, you went to Alabama. I was trying to think of some wager you and I could have today, and I can't think of anything because I'll be completely honest. I don't think Texas is going to win today at all. I have reservations about them joining the SEC to begin with. I think that they're trying to make this a rivalry between Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian, and you got to win a game to have it be a rivalry. And Alabama, since going back to the 2009 national championship, they have dominated Texas. So I'm not expecting not much today. I know Quinn Ewers and everybody had a good showing last week. I'm waiting for when Arch Manning gets in there. Although a lot of people like Quinn Ewers, I don't know what his NFL stock is going to be, but I'm not expecting much from Texas today. As Texas or Alabama's 7-point favorites and the over/under is 53.5. Yeah, I would take the points with Alabama and probably go over on the 53.5.
One of the interesting things you bring up the points and the spread or the total rather. I wish this total or not total, but the money line rather was for this game. So Texas is plus 240 roughly at MGM, and Alabama's minus 300. I wish that I could have gotten plus 240 on the Lions the other night, not to take it over to the NFL, but I mean, Texas, like you look at the plus 240, you're like, okay, but what's their percentage of winning this game? I mean, I know that they nearly lost last year. They almost won that game, and both teams are a lot different. I know Texas has a lot of returning players, Ewers specifically, who was injured in that game last year, but it's just hard to think of too many ways in which Alabama doesn't win by at least a touchdown and an extra point. It's also hard to think of too many ways where they don't score 35-ish at least by themselves. So you're looking at that total too, where it's sitting around 53 and a half. And, you know, even you can start playing some games there, maybe tease it. I don't know if anybody's looking for any gambling advice this Saturday morning.
Well, that's what we're going to be offering today, because we're going to pick some NFL games. But did you put any money on the game today?
On Alabama, yes. I am actually going to go to the casino right across the street and go write a ticket, probably for a considerable amount that I shouldn't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna put a good amount down, as I usually do on Alabama in their first big game of the year. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. So the casino right across your apartment in Henderson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sunset Station over there.
It's a good spot. We watched the college football playoffs there last year.
We did. We watched college football playoffs there, and we watched that other one. In fact, we watched Michigan TCU at Circa, but
we did.
Yes, Sunset Station as well. Maybe get a couple of $2 margaritas, and I'll be good to go.
Those margaritas went fast. Went fast. By the way, you haven't been on since I told the story about how you got me back to the Bay Area that New Year's Eve. So, sir, thank you. You are a fucking mensch for life for fucking driving me back that night. 8 hours each way.
No, of course, man. I mean, it sucks. That was such a shitty situation. Everybody, that was when all those flight delays were going on. Southwest. It didn't matter who it was.
It's still going on, apparently, with airlines. It's just not a good time. It hasn't been a good year to travel, I guess. But it was really bad in December when Southwest was going through their shit. And yeah, I mean, I took a big risk flying with what was the fucking airline I chose? Spirit Airlines. It was a big risk. I was thinking the whole time, like, going over there, like, oh, my flight's gonna get canceled. And then sure enough, on the way back, it was. And they wanted me to fly back through Ontario, not California, Canada. It's like, I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, you're not paying, extra $100-$200 and flying through Canada and not getting to work. No, it just wasn't going to work. So I was like, okay, let's just go. So, but it all worked out. I'll tell you this. I remember there were Niner fans still stuck in the casinos and the resorts for another 2 or 3 days after. And I was just like, yeah, I thought it was a conspiracy. I thought the entire strip got together and said, we didn't make our quota for the year. So let's keep some people here.
It's kind of like that scene out of Casino where Robert De Niro didn't get enough money from the Japanese businessman, so he makes sure that his plane is not working and keeps like, no more gambling, and then they take all of his fucking money. That's how they do it. The casino always wins. By the way, speaking of Alabama and Texas, I was just watching the pregame show for Nebraska and Colorado, the big game, the big noon kickoff. And Tom Rinaldi sat down with Nick Saban, and Saban seems a little more laid back these days, a little more chill. I don't know if you got the same vibe. I don't know how much you watch of his press conferences and whatnot before the season starts, but he seemed to be like the most laid back I've seen him in quite some time.
I usually watch, a few coaches shows every season. So this week I didn't, but I did last week, and then I also saw his appearance on
McAfee.
Excuse me, Pat McAfee. Yeah, that's a huge get. The fact that he's getting Nick Saban every Thursday, he's got Rodgers and Nick Saban. I mean, this guy, he gets all the guests. It's amazing.
Yeah, have you watched it at all when moving them to ESPN?
No. So I watched yesterday just because I was like, well, they're kind of doing a college game day style thing, so I enjoyed that, but I haven't. I just don't watch it very often. I mean, it's like a 2.5, 3 hour show, and I watch clips. I watch clips of the Pat McAfee show.
So do I. It's a weird deal seeing that type of format on ESPN. I got to believe that the traditional ESPN journalists are like, "What the fuck is this?" But it does kind of give hope to those that start low and make their own thing, and that becomes lucrative, and you get to put it on a big platform. But I was watching it in the studio yesterday, just being like, my God, this is crazy that this shit's on a national network right now. But yeah, getting Saban's a big get. So we'll go through the NFL games. This is just your pregame show, man. We're going to start doing this every Saturday now to give ourselves a little more time before NFL games start. We put out podcasts a couple hours before the game would start. It's like, that shit's going to die quickly. So might as well do it on Saturdays to give ourselves more time. We already had a game on Thursday, Lions and Chiefs. And Lions pull off the upset, 21-20. Travis Kelce did not play. Chris Jones was there, but he was sitting in a suite with two goons next to him. It was something. It was like this. Go ahead.
I was just saying awkward for kind of everybody involved. He's sitting in a suite there. The Chiefs are just, I don't want to say getting their butts kicked physically on the field, but that was they were put through the ringer physically last night or a couple nights ago. And, Joe's is just sitting up there like, maybe you guys need me.
No, it was weird, but it was the most stereotypical thing of just two like mafioso looking dudes with big fucking cell phones just being like, hey, we're gonna do this deal with Chris, come on. And it was weird. The whole thing was weird. But did you feel the Lions won it or the Chiefs lost it?
I feel the Lions won it, and I would think that I'm not buying into the Lions hype, so I just want to put that right now. And it'll take. It's not that I don't like Dan Campbell. I really like Dan Campbell. Thought he was good in Miami. I think he's doing a great job in Detroit. I don't have a ton of confidence in Jared Goff unless they can really get the play action game going, which they were starting to do on Thursday. But Detroit won it. They definitely won it. They played good defense. I know people will say, well, the Chiefs were missing two big players. I'm like, yeah, they were. Jones and Kelce. Kelce is like a guaranteed red zone touchdown. I mean, I was trying to think, Derek, how many tight ends have been guaranteed red zone touchdowns over the past 20 years? The only guys I could think of were Rob Gronkowski when healthy and in his prime, and Antonio Gates. It's like the only two guys I could think of. I thought Gonzalez, and I was like, not even Tony Gonzalez. I was like, it's those two guys. So Kelce is like, on that otherworldly level. But no, Detroit won it, and the grit that they showed, like when they had that fumble in the first half, not to recap the entire game, but in the first half, I think end of the first quarter, maybe end of second quarter, somewhere around there, they're marching down the field, they're close to the red zone or right in it, and there's a fumble and they turn the ball over, and I was like, well, it's usually where the Chiefs do something big here right after a turnover, and Detroit just kept slugging with them. Even the great Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who was totally ready for the game, they just they didn't have the weapons, it seemed like, or the ability to beat you down physically either.
Yeah, I thought that the Lions won the game, but it was the worst I've seen the Chiefs in quite some time. And I did think Travis Kelce not being out there was a huge deal, just because Mahomes is looking to go deep in awkward situations where he could easily just check it down. I was contemplating playing. I got Jerick McKinnon in one of my fantasy leagues, and I thought they were going to use him a hell of a lot more than they did. I think only had one catch. They threw to Pacheco a little bit more, which was surprising. Kadarius Toney had an awful night, absolutely awful night. I'm not a big Sky Moore guy. I just don't. I think that he's flashed. Not even here or there. He had the one touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that's all I can remember of him doing anything in the NFL so far. He was supposed to be their Tyreek Hill. It hasn't happened yet. Rasheen Rice caught a touchdown for them, but besides all that, I think the Chiefs have, and I said this before even the game happened, I actually picked the Chargers to win the AFC West this year, because one of the big things that I think about with the Chiefs is that the receiving core is not great. They got by last year Juju helped him out. They did more, Andy Reid, I think, schemed it up a little bit better last year. And that's how they were able to benefit. Like when he was with the Eagles, Donovan McNabb had Hank Baskett and Todd Pinkston. They didn't have the best wide receivers. So this kind of happens sometimes where we may see it with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, as Joe Burrow just got paid. When you pay the quarterback, you got to stop giving money to everything else so they get lesser wide receivers. So that's what I thought Thursday night. I was like, damn, the Chiefs really need better wide receiver play. I thought the Lions defense was really good. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be a fucking force. He already is, actually.
Yeah.
Their defense picked up where they left off a season ago. It's really impressive to end the season, killing the Green Bay Packers playoff hopes in Lambeau, and then to do another NBC broadcast, nationally televised, and go into Arrowhead when they're getting the banners and the rings, and they were more physical than the Chiefs. I really like the 1-2 punch running game of the Lions with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs really impressed me. I know he was used sparingly, but a few runs he had, he bounced off that one tackler on that fourth quarter drive where they took the lead. I thought they were going to use him more in the passing game. They probably will as time goes on, but I was really impressed. Jared Goff, there was like a 3rd and 22 play. No, sorry, not 3rd and 22. 3rd and 15 play where he threw to Josh Reynolds. That was impressive. I know everyone's saying, like, he never loses to Patrick Mahomes. It's been 2 fucking games. Everybody relax. But he was impressive. I actually am buying the Lions as far as the best team in the NFC North. I don't know if they'll be there in the end with the Eagles or Niners or Cowboys, but I am buying them as the best team in that division. And yeah, I was honestly impressed with what they did. Here's what I didn't get. That fourth quarter, and I know Dan Campbell's going to be aggressive, and I like it. He went for it with a fake punt that led to the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. But in the fourth quarter, this could have really bit him in the ass. Ben Johnson, it's Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator. I might be wrong there. But he's like supposed to be the next hotshot, offensive play calling head coach. He'll probably have one more year with Detroit and then take a head coaching job. But I didn't get the play calling. Where they were at midfield and they go run, and then it's 4th and 3 or something like that.
It's like 2.5, 3 yards. Yeah.
And then they throw, and it's blocked by Justin Reed. And I was like, you could have been more aggressive. You're playing for the 4th down, I thought. So they could have been more aggressive there. It did not kill them, even though the Chiefs got to midfield. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did nothing with the ball. And they do this. I mean, it was first and 10, and Kadarius Toney catches a wide open pass. And he didn't practice much during training camp, but he had an awful night. 1 catch for 1 yard on 5 targets, and most of them were drops. So it goes to a 4th and 20 after a false start by Juwan Taylor, and he looked like he was offsides, or not offsides, but he looks like he was false starting all night. Like J.J. Watt called him out on Twitter, and he said, like, there's a lot of offensive linemen that get away with that shit. Chris Collinsworth brought it up. He basically called Juwan Taylor a slot receiver the whole night. I mean, we all saw. Like, did you think he was getting a head start every fucking snap?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I watched that, and I didn't hear what Collinsworth said, so I have to be honest about that because I watched it with no sound. So I just sat and watched.
Same here when I watched it at a bar, but last night, last night I went through just to watch it to see what the game broadcast was like, and yeah, Collinsworth was like, "Now here's a guy, Juwan Taylor, who comes over from Jacksonville. This guy's basically playing slot tonight. He's just going in motion before the play starts." And I was like, "Hey, he's right.
He's a wide receiver, and sometimes they do that." But no. Back to Kadarius Toney. So his drops were horrible. To tip a ball up and then have what happens after that with Brian Branch.
Yeah, Brian Branch. He basically gift wrapped that pick six, and Mahomes doesn't usually throw pick six. They got going with the stat that credits the wide receiver for the blame there.
because Mahomes does everything right on that play, and Tony just, I mean, what you said, the quietest night of all time. When you have a catch, 1 yard, you got targeted 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
and I think the biggest problem with it was Tony was putting himself in the right spot. It's not like he wasn't doing exactly what he needed to do. Well, besides the important part for a receiver, which is actually receiving the ball.
Yeah.
But I do feel a little bit bad for him because he'd had to delete his Instagram account or his Twitter account or X account, whatever it's called now.
Yeah,
he's getting hammered for it, and that's always messed up. I mean, it's just a game.
No, yeah, of course, but he also in the offseason, he like reached out to Giants fans and their DMs and sent them voicemails like, you guys like.
Yeah.
It was aggressive. That's always going to be like, well, you can't handle when people throw it back to you. What I was going to say though was that final drive, and it's 4th and 20. Then they get a false start. It turns into 4th and 25. I didn't understand Andy Reid going for it there at all, because you had not only the 2-minute warning coming up, but you had all 3 timeouts. And if you go for it there, then you're basically setting up the Lions to kick a field goal because they'll be in field goal range. The game was 21-20. You could easily punt the ball back, make them go 3 and out, and then get the ball back and win the game with a field goal. I did not understand. Basically, it was game over. 4th and 25, they don't pick it up. The Lions, at worst, were going to kick a field goal to go up 24-20, forcing the Chiefs to score a touchdown to win the game. But in the end, they ran the ball, and they never got the ball back. I did not understand the thought process of that.
Coaches do that sometimes. I mean, we've seen it for as long as we've been watching football, but it does seem to happen a lot more often, especially over the past maybe 10, 12 years. They'll just say, okay, here's the moment, and let's leverage the whole game. Let's put the whole game right here, and we want to know if we're going to win or we're going to lose or have a shot at it right here. And I'm never a fan of it. Why? I'm like you, Derek. Why force your hand or put yourself in a position before you have to? It's kind of my philosophy on the whole go for 2 thing. There's the coaches who always do it, and it's just like, maybe don't go for 2 until you have to go for 2. But I didn't understand it, and it wasn't like what you said. They could have forced a 3 and out. They had the timeouts. It wasn't like they hadn't forced 3 and outs that game. I mean, the game started with a couple of quick punts from both teams, so it wasn't foreign to that game that there wasn't going to be another punt from the Lions. But Andy Reid's got a couple Super Bowls. He could do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest. I thought his play calling was weird all night. He was getting a little too cute. Like there was a couple of 3rd and 1s where he was doing the tight end comes up to the line of scrimmage to get the snap that he did last year, but then it's a reverse to Tony, and then the Lions would just smell that out easily. He did that on the goal line too. I thought he overthought it a little bit. I thought that if he just played, sometimes just coaches overthink it. You could easily just give the ball to Isaiah Pacheco on the one, just give it to him. He's on my fantasy team, but also just give it to him up the middle. He pick up the first down. I just thought that Andy Reid, it was questionable play calling. I thought it may be on him or it may be on Matt Nagy now. I'm not going to say that the loss of Eric Bieniemy was apparent, but I feel like it was just kind of weird play calling on Thursday night.
It indeed was, especially, and it's not like the Chiefs haven't been successful with that running the tight end under the center and then having some type of action off of it, whether, it's a sweep one way or some type of reverse or something like that. But watching it in real time when they started running the play, I went, oh, okay, they're going right into that. And I thought when they attempted it the first time, and I went, I just don't think this is the kind of game where you want to take the ball out of your best player's hands.
Right.
And that was the kind of game where I think it needed to be every time they were in a situation like that, Mahomes needed to have the ball, even though he wasn't getting help from his receiving core because he wasn't.
No, he was
but
not.
He still needed to be able to touch the ball. He's the most important player for a reason. I look at that sometimes, and I agree with you, Derek, because and this is an old criticism on Andy Reid that he has gotten cute in the past, or that things, his management, it's usually where he takes the shots there, is about his game management. But I just thought I just don't think they were ready for the Lions to be so physical, and I definitely don't think they were ready for Aiden Hutchinson to be the game wrecker that he was.
And I just don't think they were, ready for Travis Kelce to not be a part of the offense. He hasn't missed a game since I think 2014. So he was close to playing. He'll probably play next week. I think that it played a big factor just in the comfortability of the offense and Mahomes. I thought the defense played fine without Chris Jones. Not that they shouldn't pay him. I don't know what's going to go on with that because now that Bosa got paid, I don't know what their thought process is with Chris Jones. He's not going to make the same amount of money that Nick Bosa will get. That's my opinion. But it's clear that the Chiefs have wide receiver issues, and that's the biggest thing that I think is going to maybe plague them this season. Not that I'm not going to freak out yet. The Lions played well. Let's see how they keep going. The Chiefs, they're still the Chiefs. They get Travis Kelce back next week, and they could be fine. But as far as their receiving issues, when they want to go deep, I don't know. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised now that Mike Evans has let it be known that he's unhappy with his contract situation, that could be a deal that could be done before the trade deadline.
Just what the Chiefs need is a Hall of Fame receiver just to come walking through the door, and a guy who's still got tons of talent, tons left in the tank, I think, for a veteran guy. And I think the Chiefs would be off and running. I think Patrick Mahomes would love that, to have Mike Evans as a wideout and Travis Kelce as his tight end. Okay, they're back to cooking.
But did you, as a Raider fan, did you like what you saw and how the Chiefs struggled?
Yeah, I mean, I did, but I kind of took it with a grain of salt. I was like, the Chiefs are okay. They definitely don't look as dominant as they did at times last year or even a few years ago, but also they kind of hang around in a lot of games and then kind of bury you late or come back and beat you by 2 scores. But it was good to see. It was definitely good to see that you can have a blueprint to stop Patrick Mahomes when Travis Kelce's not out there. But I mean, Kelce, he's so valuable. He's worth like a touchdown by himself. So I want to see what their offense looks like when he's actually back.
Yeah, no, it'll be telling, and I think that he'll be back next week when they play Jacksonville. So yeah, the game went down, and did you notice, Alon, though, like right during kickoff, I thought this was kind of petty by the Cincinnati Bengals and Mike Brown. They announced the Joe Burrow contract, like 5 minutes into the game. And I was like, this is fucking weird timing. And, insiders are always told you can release this information, at a certain time. Like, I always hear Schefter and Rappaport and Pelissero, all these guys be like, I had the tweet already in the drafts. So they're always told, like, they know information. That's why when they go on these shows, like McAfee or Rich Eisen, they don't say anything because they've been told I can't, divulge the details yet. But it was weird to give the okay right when the NFL season is starting. I didn't like that. I thought, like, this isn't the time for news. And I thought it was particularly petty by the Bengals and Mike Brown to do that because they got their thing with the Chiefs right now. And they kind of did it as like, all right, well, Mahomes is playing right now, but we just signed the biggest contract of all time with Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow gets 5 years, $275 million, $219 guaranteed, $55 annually. It's a whole lot of change, and that's the biggest in NFL history. And historically, the Bengals have been known to be a petty and cheap organization. Prior to this, collectively, the most they've given guaranteed as a team in their history was $213 million in their entire franchise's history. They went to 219 on one guy alone. Mike Brown must have been just hating to do this fucking deal. But they got it done, and now Joe Burrow is the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. And then day before, we all been waiting for Nick Bosa. Everyone was saying he might not play on Sunday. He signed the deal. All good. He signs 5 years, $170 million, $122.5 guaranteed, $34 annual. He gets what he wanted. He becomes the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. He surpasses Aaron Donald. He basically pulled a TJ Watt. He's going to play on Sunday. and both those guys share the same agent. So that guy's having a good weekend. But
That,
your thoughts on the two big contracts?
yeah, that agent he's got those bonuses rolling in. He is so happy. He's like, this is great. I don't have to work for another 5 years or whenever, whoever's contract comes up first. But I did notice that about the Bengals, and I was like, there was something that felt very, and maybe this is unfair, if very NBA about it. Like it seemed like something that would happen in basketball. And I was just like, this is weird. They could have announced this before the game. You know, there's a pregame show for the game. They could have announced, and everybody's watching that pregame show. You know, you could have announced it an hour and a half earlier. They could have done a number of different ways, but they chose to do it the way they are. The way they did do it. I will say this about Burrow: that is a hell of a contract. Good for him, and that is look, okay, it's not, you know, a 15-year lock him up kind of contract or anything like that, but it's that 219 million guaranteed. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
guaranteed. And I'm sure there's some type of, you know, if something bad happens, whatever clause in there, but nothing bad is going to happen. He'll be fine, and he's got 219 million in the bank that he just knows is there now. It was an incredible deal. And then on the Bosa thing with the Niners, I always just, you know, I think everybody knew, okay, when's it going to get done? I think the fact that it went this late into, you know, before week 1 was a little odd, but I don't think there was anybody. I think there were people talking about it, but I don't think there was anybody really serious that this was going to be a multi-week type of holdout or something was going to happen where he wasn't back. At least I didn't entertain it. I was like, there's no way the Niners do it because they've had to make tough decisions in the past of getting rid of good players. Like the first guy that came to mind was DeForest Buckner for me. I was like, you know, that was a tough decision. They have control here. Why would they not try to get this guy back in the building? And good for them that they did.
Yeah, I didn't entertain it, but it was getting close to the point where I was like, maybe he doesn't sign by this weekend. But then me and Steven talked about it. Like, if you're going to have a quarterback on a rookie salary, well, you got to account for this. This is what's gonna happen, and everyone's talking about what's gonna happen next year with the Niners. You know, they got to pay a shit ton of guys in the 20 million range, and that's where this season is kind of all or nothing to win the championship, and then you got to start maybe tearing it down a little bit. Not a whole lot, but you may got to start think about, you know, you got to pay Brandon Ayuk. Are you going to get rid of Debo or Eric Armstead? What's his long-term future? The interesting thing today is I read that Eric Armstead restructured his contract, and now the Niners, before the season starts, even with Bosa signing, have 41 million in cap space to start the season. I don't know what that means for them as far as making a move or doing something else. I could see maybe another pass rusher if Cleveland Farrell and Drake Jackson, that's not enough. But yeah, they had to get this done with Bosa. Now, what it does with Chris Jones is not, as a defensive tackle, I mean, you could impact the game, definitely, but it's a different deal compared to a, you know, traditional pass rusher as a defensive end. So I don't think he's going to get the same amount of money close to Bosa. I think that he could get close to and surpass Quentin Williams, but I don't know what he wants, and I don't know what his agents want. And just because the Chiefs lost on Thursday, I don't think that's going to give them any, you know, pressure to sign Chris Jones. So just because Bosa signs this record deal contract doesn't mean that Chris Jones get the same amount of money, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I think you also have to be very careful with Chris Jones for all the reasons that you said. The position he plays, he's not an edge player; he's an interior defender. That's part of the first one. But also, he's almost 30 years old, and it's one of those things where it's like, how many more top end years do you think he has? And he's probably got 2 or 3, maybe 4 more. I mean, at max. But that you're not looking at Chris Jones as the staple for many years to come of your defense. You're plugging him in the way that, and it's probably not a good comparison, but the way that Tampa Bay kind of took guys from different places and plugged them in, like Ndamukong Suh, who was on the downside, but and Jones is not there yet. But it's just I he's gonna get defensive tackle money. I don't even know he'll get more than Q did, but it's somewhere in that range is probably appropriate. And you got to be careful with him. I mean, it's tough. Aging defensive tackle is not usually the first thing I think of if I'm an NFL team and I want to spend money on.
Yeah, I mean that's the deal. Is that Quentin Williams is much younger. Chris Jones is 29. Nick Bosa is much younger. So I don't see how he's going to get that amount of money that I guess he's expecting to get. But then again, we don't know what he really wants. So who knows? He's been saying all week that he just wants a raise and a significant raise. But we'll see if the Chiefs feel inclined to pay him. Another pass rusher that's been in the news lately for the Raiders. This one's kind of disturbing, this story. So Josh McDaniels announced yesterday that Chandler Jones will not be playing Sunday against the Broncos. I saw Chandler Jones this morning tweet out, "My Warriors will go on without me. Good luck to my team." Me and Steven talked about it last podcast. What's going on with Chandler Jones? The whole thing is weird, kind of concerning a little bit. It's gotten to the point now where I guess a mental health team doctor showed up to his house to check on him, telling him that he needs to go with them to, be safe. I watched a video that he posted, very weird and disturbing, honestly, of him in the dark, referring to Dave Ziegler, saying that TMZ has been hitting up his phone, wanting to know about all the details of what's going on. I don't want to speculate. I don't know what's going on. You can go back to what happened with Chandler Jones and the synthetic weed incident in New England, where he kind of lost it before a playoff game. But this is concerning, especially with a player that was on the downslide a little bit. It was kind of a lackluster season for him last year. Everyone talks about the play that he had against New England, but only 4 sacks, I want to say, all of last year. I could be wrong about that, maybe 6. It was in the single digits, I know that. And you draft his replacement at Tyree Wilson, but you kind of want Chandler Jones to still be there, and you hope for the best for him. But this is kind of the thing you don't want to see before the season starts. And he's referencing Antonio Brown and Aldon Smith, and I had our guy Aram from Schroeder's back in the day text me, just being like, "Are the Raiders cursed? Like, what the fuck is this?" And you want to be sensitive to what's going on with Chandler Jones, but at the same time, like, what the hell is going on? This is a very weird deal.
This one reminds me a lot of the Antonio Brown stuff, just because none of it seems external, right? None of these, not that we have all the details, but none of these problems or whatever's causing this, none of it seems external football related. Like very, very well could have stemmed from that, but if it is some type of mental health crisis, or if he really is in trouble, obviously we want him to get the help that he needs. It's not good when crisis response team has to show up at your house. That being said, the Raiders did request that was at their behest that someone went over there. So
right.
I mean, there's two sides of the story. So in one light, to paint it as one thing, it could be, but it also could be there's some type of real dispute between both parties. But yeah, weird video, like pitch black in the dark. That's weird. And the other thing, and this is maybe not fair, but it just kind of reminds me of erratic, weird behavior that maybe his brother, John Jones, would have, who's a great champion in his own right in the UFC. And
fill me in on because Steven brought that up, and I'm not familiar with John Bond. What's his name again? Sorry.
Bones.
Yeah, Bones. Yeah.
John Bones Jones.
Yeah, John. Yeah. What is his history? Because people have brought up like his brother has exhibited the same kind of behavior. I'm not that familiar with him.
So he's had, I think most of the criticism on John Jones, at least in his MMA career, has just been his inability to consistently test clean, but he's tested positive for different drugs in the past. That's always been an issue for him, although it seems like he's gotten past that. But he's, had weird things. He had a hit and run that he was convicted of. He had a weird domestic violence issue that came up. I mean, just a lot of legal troubles, failed drug test kind of stuff, just weird, erratic behavior, things that, probably shouldn't do. And not just that, but he kind of like sheltered himself away from everybody for a few years while he was suspended from mixed martial arts. So he kind of sequestered himself. It's just kind of they're just weird cats. It's interesting.
It sounds like it. Yeah, like I said, I hope he gets whatever the help he needs. It turned into a whole thing where he didn't want to play for the Raiders anymore this week, and now it's someone actually posted this. Like if you judge things by social media, Chris or Chandler Jones is normal by the morning, tweeting out like "God bless" and "Go Raiders," and then by 9 o'clock at night, something happens where he tweets something out weird. I don't want to make light of it. I don't know what happens during the day, but they'll be without him, and you kind of want him. I mean, Chandler Jones has had his success against Russell Wilson, but it is what it is, and they got Max Crosby, and I guess it's Tyree Wilson getting the start. He's healthy now, but you're gonna throw him out there for his first game in the NFL as a starter opposite Max Crosby.
I don't know if he'll get the start. I do think he'll get the majority of the snaps opposite of Max Crosby. Malcolm Kuntz might get the start, but you don't want Malcolm Kuntz out there every single down. You just don't. But you would like to see Tyree Wilson and his size and strength. I mean, his strength is off the charts. So, I mean, at the very least, he could hold his own in the run game and have some nice bull rushes. But it's just unfortunate. Chandler Jones, everybody was hoping in the Raiders organization that he was going to have kind of a reemergence here. Maybe not double-digit sacks, but 8. And then get 4 or 5 from the rookie out of Texas Tech, and pair that with maybe 12 or 13 from Max Crosby, and you're looking good. But now that rotation of bodies, Malcolm Kuntz becomes the next guy up kind of thing on the other side, and it's just tough. So I hope that situation resolves itself. For once, I would say that it's being really, guarded closely. There hasn't been really any insiders that have talked about exactly what's going on. And Josh McDaniels was it's an internal problem, and that's it. We're just not talking about it, and that's the right thing to do.
No, I mean, I'm sure someone will have the story eventually, but I do like that nothing has come out as of yet. And hopefully it doesn't come out. Maybe we're, there's just some things we shouldn't know sometimes, whatever he's dealing with. I wish it wasn't as public, but hopefully it gets rectified.
Yep. No, I agree.
Another element to this game though, that I laughed at. Did you see Randy Gregory's comments yesterday?
Oh no.
Randy Gregory was interviewed by a reporter, and they asked him, I guess he's been on record saying he hates the Raiders. And they asked Randy Gregory, "Why do you hate the Raiders?" And he goes, "You want me to be honest? I don't like their owner's haircut. It actually pisses me off."
Yeah.
And guys have talked a lot of shit about the Raiders over the years. This was the first time where I was like, I couldn't help but laugh at this. It was like, this is like a lot of people give shit to Mark Davis for his haircut, but the fact that Randy Gregory was like, "It pisses me off." I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm reading the quote. A quote, "I don't like the owner's haircut. I don't like the bowl cut. Kind of pisses me off." What a great motivation for you ahead of game day. He's like, you know what? I just really want to bury these guys because that owner's got such a weird haircut and I don't like it.
I will. I mean, that quote will get back to Mark Davis, and he will. If Randy Gregory ever becomes a free agent, you best believe he's never going to be a Raider, because Mark Davis is very, very sensitive about the hair. I can contest to that. A couple of truth machines, and the Raiders tell the bosses stop referencing that. So there you go. Anyway, Yeah. It's like,
Will Kiss was blowing up your phone. Say,
No,
hey,
no.
you can't. No, I'm just joking.
not Will Kiss, but I'm sure someone got to Mark and said, "Hey, did you hear this Truth Machine?" Anyway, yeah. Going back to Bosa and Max Crosby, I've been hesitant for the longest time to say this, but maybe you can agree with Steven. Do you think Nick Bosa? I mean, definitely Nick Bosa has. Do you think Max Crosby now has surpassed Khalil Mack in being one of the best pass? I mean, like Khalil Mack's game is not so much pass rushing; it's a mix of run defense and pass rushing. He's never gotten the ridiculous sack numbers that people expect out of him. But do you think right now Nick Bosa and Max Crosby are better defenders than Khalil Mack?
Right now, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I don't think that they're inferior to him. I think they're both better. I think Khalil Mack's a veteran though and still offers a lot. Um they're in their primes, and I'm thinking back to Khalil Mack's prime towards the end with the Raiders and the first, 3 years with the Bears. Khalil Mack, he was like you said, he didn't put up the big gaudy sack numbers, but he'd get you double digits or close to usually. But he's just a force. Guy
Yeah.
disrupts every single part of the game, and I mean, there's a reason he was all pro at two different positions. It's incredible what he did. That was with the Raiders that he became an all pro at two positions. But yeah, no, I think Crosby and Bosa are both better than him at specifically what they do, which is playing edge, playing defensive end, and rushing the quarterback. And they're both good in the running game. But in his prime, Khalil Mack is a very unique guy, and there's not too many others that could do what he did, because he's not just going after the quarterback, and he wasn't just a run stuffer. I mean, he did everything.
Yeah. People remember the 5-sack game he had against the Broncos
Yeah.
and the interception he had against Cam Newton,
Cam Newton. Yep.
the forced fumbles for his defensive player of the year season that, when he first came to the Bears, that, opening night where he just got there and he wreaked havoc on Deshaun Kaiser, who was filling in for Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
Khalil Mack is just an interesting and unique player, but I do understand that his career is going on slightly the decline, and it has been for a little bit of time now. That's why he's being paired up with Joey Bosa. If I think they stay healthy, I think that's the best pass rush duo in all of football, in my opinion. But I am ready to kind of go in that direction of you and Steven, where it seems like Max Crosby and Nick Bosa are two of the premier pass rushers and edge defenders in football, and they have kind of surpassed him in, I guess, just consistency. Like Khalil Mack, I still think he's one of the best. He's just not with them as far as staying healthy, obviously, and getting the sack numbers. I don't know what he had a season ago. He had to play without Joey Bosa for most of the season last year, but yeah, I do think if you pair them together, like that first week 1 game last year where he got 3 sacks against Derek, if they're healthy together, I think that's why I picked them to win the division. I think that they have the most talent as far as defense. It's a matter of whether Brandon Staley gets them to play each week. And then they got, I was questioning the Quentin Johnston selection for the Chargers. I thought maybe Zay Flowers would have fit better, but all indications are that he's fitting in with the offense pretty well. And I thought it was kind of a similar deal of having another Mike Williams, but having 3 of those guys, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams, not to mention Josh Palmer or Jalen Guyton when they're healthy, they got some guys, and that's what I think is going to separate them from the other teams of the AFC West this year, as far as just them having talent and now having the offensive coordinator that probably will be more aggressive than what Joe Lombardi was a year ago.
So I think that is probably the biggest upgrade, is having Kellen, and they're able to have an offensive coordinator who's not just going to be more aggressive, but I think is just going to be better for the continued success or what they're trying to get to. What I'm really hoping is that there's a lot of input there from the rest of the coaching staff for the Chargers regarding game management. I don't want to harp on Brandon Staley too much, but I agree with you about the Chargers. I think that they're set up at the right positions. They got good skill players. They have one hell of a quarterback. I mean, he's amazing. Just if it was 7-on-7, like maybe the two best quarterbacks in the league, and Mahomes would be up there too, but maybe two of the best would be Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. But then they also have the pass rush taken care of, and I agree with you. And just a little thing about Khalil Mack, has he put up crazy numbers the last couple of years? No, but he's also had still really good impact. He's still getting 6, 7, 8 sacks and still forcing some fumbles here and there. So they seem to have everything covered. The important positions that you need covered, they have covered. So I don't know if I'm it's hard, Derek, because you hear it every single year. Hey, San Diego. Hey, LA. Hey, the Chargers, they could really contend. And then something dumb happens. Someone gets hurt. I don't know. They lose games that they shouldn't. So usually that's the case, and it's hard. But on paper, that team, they're really good.
They should be good. We'll see what happens. So are you taking them or the Chiefs more in the AFC West? Or even the Raiders? Well, I haven't asked this. Actually, you know what? I haven't asked you this yet. So what do you think about the Raiders this season? Because me and Steven have talked about it. It seems like a weird kind of build this year of a mix of kind of trying to compete, but also it feels kind of like a rebuild in some aspects of, they like Jimmy and they're going to say the right things about Jimmy, but he's definitely the placeholder. And they may like Aiden O'Connell a lot. Aiden O'Connell. I remember originally when I texted you about him, you're like, I don't really dig him.
I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. But
even with what you saw in the preseason, though,
look, if he becomes a full-time backup and they don't have to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster, then that's or at any time, that's great. Then I think that's really good value. But no, I don't. I watched him in college. I wasn't into it. I just wasn't, but I'm not a coach. I'm sitting here on a podcast. So, I'm not a scout or anything, but I wasn't into the pick. I'm glad he did really well. I want to be wrong. I hope the guy turns into Tom Brady or something like that. That'd be great. But like you said, it feels kind of like a rebuild or a funky situation. They have all these great pieces all around different parts of the roster, right? And they just took a huge piece of duct tape and put it right in the middle to try to connect everything, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
And if the duct tape rips, or if anything happens bad, the whole thing could fall apart very, very quickly. I think the team should win 8 games. I definitely think they're an 8-win team. Now, what happens with 4 to 5 of the games that you're in a very close game? Maybe you have a double-digit lead, and maybe it's a double-digit lead heading into the second half. What do you do there? Do you blow it? Do you let Kyler Murray run around for 10 hours in the backfield on a 2-point conversion, or do you close the game out? So I have no idea. I'm going to be very surprised for this season. Obviously, I'm not picking the Raiders to win the division for all those reasons. I would say, even with as good as the Chargers are, it's so hard for me to pick against the Chiefs. Yeah, they have Patrick Mahomes. So I'll go chalk. I'll take Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Even at 0-1. I'm taking them at 0-1.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Then before we pick all these games, Alon, is there any game this weekend that you're looking forward to the most? Or even Monday?
Monday game's good. NFL games wise, you know what? I'm really looking forward to Steelers Niners.
Okay.
I think that's my favorite game on the docket. Outside, I'm a Raiders fan, obviously, but outside of watching the team I like play, I'm really interested in seeing what happens there. I think the Steelers could be super competitive.
Yep.
I'm really curious to see what Brock Purdy looks like as a full-time starter.
Yep.
And I guess I'm always entertained seeing Mike Tomlin somehow manufacture some type of competitive game against a team that is, I mean, they're way more talented than the Steelers. And even at quarterback, I can say, well, look at look at what both guys have done.
Yeah.
And even though Kenny Pickett is this high draft pick, and Brock Purdy is the lowest draft pick, he's better than Kenny Pickett as of now, just from what he's done. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. What game are you looking forward to? I'm sure you're looking forward to that one as well. But
oh no, I'm looking forward to that game. I think you can make the case that both teams have maybe the two best defenses in all of football. I think that it's going to be a really interesting game. There's a lot of parallels between the two teams. Obviously, two second-year quarterbacks. Kind of looked at it as game managers a little bit, not really the elite of the elite as far as quarterbacks, but their careers are still growing. Very similar styles of coaches. One's offense, one's defense, but they both have the same philosophy of running to run the ball and kicking your ass. So it's going to be interesting. I can see that game going either way. I think that it's supposed to rain tomorrow in Pittsburgh, kind of a deja vu of a year ago. George Kittle is questionable, could miss the game. So we'll see. The biggest thing about the Niners is that, they've had good seasons, but they've also got off to bad starts. A year ago, they started 4-4. The year before that, they went 3-5. In order to host the NFC Championship game, they got to have the same start they had like in 2019, where they started 9-0 or 8-0, whatever it was. So you got to, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, it's better to host playoff games than go on the road to playoff games. But they're capable of it. But this is going to be a true test for the Niners. So let's start picking that's going to be a game I'm going to check out. I like the Dolphins and Chargers game. I like both those offenses. That's going to be fun. I'm intrigued by Bears Packers because I just don't know what to expect from Jordan Love and the Packers. I'm just excited for football in general, man. I love. It's gonna be weird tomorrow, not having an option to go to Andrew Siciliano for Red Zone. It's all 7 hours of commercial-free football with Scott Hansen. Do you usually watch? How do you go? Do you usually put on Red Zone, or what do you do when it comes to? You're like the Raiders aren't on. So what is your preference as far as watching NFL games?
So my dad was an early adopter of the Red Zone. So there was always a lot of Siciliano. There were a few seasons of Hansen as well, who's really good at it too. But when we switched cable operators or whatever when I was a kid. But well, I was not that into the Red Zone when I first was introduced to it. I was like, I don't get this. It's hopping around like crazy. And I was like, just change the channel and check in. And, as I got older, I was just like, Red Zone's kind of money.
They do it all for me. They do it all for me.
Yeah, they do it all for me. It's kind of hard to watch NFL and keep track of everything without Red Zone, unless I want to have, my command center going with 80 screens and try to consume it all myself, which could do. But
I'm tomorrow. I'm going to try to have it on Red Zone, and now that I got Sunday Ticket through YouTube TV, I'm going to try to bounce around as much as possible. But it's hard, and also Red Zone's on a delay, so you get alerts before you see it on Red Zone. But no, it's God, I can't fucking wait for tomorrow. Oh God.
I'm very excited for tomorrow. I got two questions for you. One's about that Steelers-Niner game, Derek. Who do you think performs better? Because it's going to be one of the big topics of the game. Is which edge defender does better? Is it Bosa?
Bosa and TJ Watt?
Exactly. Which high-paid luxury, big-time edge defender has the better game?
I would say TJ because he's going up against Colton McKivitz. Even though the Steelers tackles aren't great, Bosa just got there, so he may be a little rusty. I thought Bosa was going to go off last year against Chicago and get Justin Fields, and I don't remember that happening. So if I had to guess, I'm going to say TJ Watt has a better performance against Colton McKivitz.
Okay. And then the other question, that's actually really, I like that. Yeah, TJ Watt, interesting because I think Bosa's a better player, but like you said, he's going to be rusty
Similar.
and
I mean,
yeah,
I like both of them. Comparable,
yeah,
I'd say.
comparable.
I couldn't tell you who's the better pass rusher. They're both very, very good.
Yeah, the good, really good white, edge defending pass. It's the new slot guy on the defense.
Yeah, I got you.
The other one about NFL Sunday Ticket moving to YouTube. Do you think that makes people's lives easier to consume NFL football, or do you think it's going to be kind of an adoption phase the way that Amazon football has been?
It's not easier for your bank account because it definitely wasn't cheaper.
It's not, no, it's not.
But they did have a deal in June, and that's when I went after it. It's going to be adjustment. It's going to be adjustment for everybody. I think that more and more people are cutting the cord and they're going to YouTube. That's why they did this. And when it went to YouTube, I was like, "Sweet, I have YouTube TV." I know you. What do you have, Fubo or Fubo?
I've Fubo, but it's basically cord cutting as well. It's streaming.
I think more people are doing it. I think it's going to get easier. I think DirecTV, honestly, my experience with DirecTV and having the NFL Sunday Ticket was a huge pain in the ass. I remember being in college and setting up the dish, and my roommates
signing it.
Yeah, I was the asshole because my cord was going all the way from the balcony where we had the fucking dish to where it was back in my room. It's a pain in the ass. You got to have the right signal for it. DirecTV, more expensive, but to have the whole thing overall, it's way more cheaper to have YouTube TV, pay for, I don't know, however much it is a month. The Sunday Ticket stuff is expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, you're paying less. So I think that our society is getting more comfortable with cutting the cord, so it's only the natural thing to do.
Okay. No, I was just wondering. I'm going to sign up. A pro tip: anybody, Sunday Ticket usually offers a student deal, so dig up that old university email account, and there you go. That's your validation.
Well, all right. Let's start doing this with a little episode, or not episode, I guess, but a little edition of Wins or Wangs, Week 1 style. Oh yeah, we got the music going. Steven and I forgot to do this on the podcast. Steven did his picks for Week 1. He He picked the Chiefs to win, but he had the Lions covering, but he had the over. So he got one out of the three elements. So what we're doing, Alon, is we're going to pick the straight-up winner, the point spread, and the over-under. I got all three wrong. I went with the Chiefs to win. I took the points. I just didn't think that Travis Kelce was going to be much of a factor. In the end, they could have won by a touchdown and yeah, well, they could have won by a field goal too, but either way. And I thought the over was going to kick in. Did not happen. So I got all three wrong. So I'm off to a bad start, but hopefully I catch up here. All right, so let's start with Carolina at Atlanta. Steven picked Atlanta to win. He's taking the points, and he's got the over. The Atlanta Falcons are favored by 3.5, and the over/under is at 39.5. Which way are you going along on this one?
So, yeah, I mean, I understand why the Falcons are favored. I think it's very, very hard for rookie quarterbacks to win. I like the Falcons, and I like them to win. I like them to cover, and I'll take the under.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go the same with you. I saw that DJ Chark for the Panthers is not going to play. And I didn't like what I saw from Bryce Young in the preseason. The offensive line didn't help him much. And I think the Falcons are actually going to be a good team. I think they improved their defense. And Bijan Robinson coming over. And I just don't know about Desmond Ridder. But in this game, I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons. I'll lay the points with 3.5. And I'll go under as well with the 39.5. I don't see the Carolina Panthers scoring that many points. Let's go to Houston, where the Baltimore Ravens come down a little bit, but initially it was at 10. biggest spread of the weekend. Baltimore is favored by 10, and the over-under is at 44. Steven's taking Baltimore. He's laying the points. He's going to go with the under. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to win. Like we just said, I think it's going to be difficult for these rookie quarterbacks to win week one. C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense, I think they have a good running game with Dameon Pierce, and they just signed Devin Singletary. But as far as receiving core, I think they may have one of the worst in football. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the Ravens going to figure out their offense, so it may not go smoothly, as I think the Texans defense is going to be pretty good this year. I got the Texans covering. I don't see the Baltimore Ravens winning by 10. I'm going to go over on the 44. I think it's going to be a little high scoring for the Ravens, maybe even for the Texans. I don't know about that Baltimore Ravens defense with Marlon Humphrey out.
So this is pretty boring. I'm going with pretty much the exact same bet. If we're going with are we working with the 10 or the 9.5 number? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's make it 9.5 or 10.
Let's go with the 10 because that's what I did.
Okay, that's what it opened with. Yeah, 10's a lot of points. I got Houston covering. I definitely like the over rather. I think Todd Monken, the offense is finally going to be unleashed in Baltimore. That's huge. And I think Baltimore wins, but they don't cover. So Baltimore wins, Houston covers, and the total is over the 43.5.
Got it. All right, then we got the Minnesota Vikings playing against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Steven, well, I'll give you the details first. Minnesota is favored by 6, and the over-under is at 45.5. Steven took Minnesota, the points, and the under. What do you say, Alon?
I will take the over. I will take Minnesota to cover. And as far as a winner, I guess I'll take Minnesota to win as well. They shouldn't lose to Tampa Bay, but I could see this. I mean, both teams should be able to score 24-ish points. So I have the over on the total. But otherwise, Minnesota winning by 5.5, winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I'm going with Minnesota. I'm taking the points, but I am going to go under. Just I don't see a lot of points scored by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or even the Vikings for that matter. I think it'll be let's go over 45.5. Yeah, I don't see it
45.5.
Yeah, I don't see it being that high scoring of a game. Jacksonville going to Indy. Indy playing with quarterback Anthony Richardson. He's going to be without his 2 top running backs. Zach Moss is out, and we already know that Jonathan Taylor's out for the first 4 weeks. I think it's just going to be hard for him to rely on a running game now, where that's pretty much what Shane Steichen was hoping with this offense, is to run the ball with his quarterback and with the league's leading rusher from 2 seasons ago, but he's not going to be there. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are favored by 5, and the over-under is at 45.5. Steven went with the Jags. He's laying the points, and he's going over. What say you, Alon?
So with the Jags game here, I have the under. I don't think Indianapolis is going to do a whole lot of scoring. I like the Jags to cover and win, and it's just one of those rookie quarterbacks things. It's very hard. It's going to be hard for Anthony Richardson with all his buddies missing. I will say this, though. Maybe if you can find a prop on Anthony Richardson for his first game rushing total, that might be worth looking at.
That's not bad. I would say that if Jonathan Taylor was playing in this game, I would be inclined to take the Colts just because I thought that Shane Steichen was going to scheme it up a little bit and catch the Jags off guard. Now that he's not playing, I am inclined to go with the Jaguars. And I'm going to take the over on the points, but I am going to say the Colts cover. I think it's going to be a closer game than the 5-point spread. We got Derek Carr's debut in the Bayou, where Tennessee Titans go to the Saints. The Saints are favored by 3, and the over-under is 41.5. Steven's taking the Saints to win. He's laying the points, and he's going over on the 41.5.
So this game is very interesting. The Saints favored by 2.5. Derek Carr, new quarterback. You know what? It's early in the season. Tennessee, we talked about teams that are kind of being held together right now. Tennessee very much seems like one of those teams. I like Derek Carr early in the season. I take New Orleans to win, to cover. And what'd you say the total was at, Derek? It's
41.5.
41.5. I got over.
All right. I'm going to go under. You and Steve like the
Ooh.
over. I'm going to say it's more of a defensive-oriented game. I'm taking the Saints, and I'm laying the points with the 3.
Okay.
Then we got the... Oof, this is a barn burner right here.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Arizona and Josh Dobbs going to Washington to take on Sam Howell.
Oof.
And everyone's if you're in a pick'em league or in a survivor pool league, this is pretty much your pick for the week or for the year to go with the Commanders. You feel comfortable about it. The Commanders are 7-point favorites, and the over/under is 38.5. What say you, Alon?
Take the Commanders to win and to cover. Arizona's so bad, and at least the Commanders can play defense. And even at 38.5, which is so low, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same. I think Steven did the same as well. He took Washington, he laid the points, and he's going under. I'm doing the same thing. I just think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be that bad. And Marquise Brown, the number 1 wide receiver, I think is questionable to even play. So, yikes. Same with Zach Ertz. They're just, they're dropping like flies. Then we got the Ohio Bowl. You got the newly paid Joe Burrow going up against Deshaun Watson as the Bengals take on the Browns. The Bengals are road favorites at 2.5, and the over/under is at 47.5. Steven took Cincy. He took the points, but he's going under. What do you say, Alon?
I am actually taking, make this one easy, I'm taking the Browns to win outright. Kevin Stefanski knows kind of what to do sometimes against Cincinnati, and I will take the over.
I'm going to do the same as you. I think that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to be a great team this year, but I think they go. I think they start off with a kind of a stinker on the road. Joe Burrow not playing much in training camp or practicing much, I should say, with the calf injury. So, and I'm actually buying the Browns this year. I picked them to be a wild card team this year with 12 wins. So, and the Browns actually have success against the Bengals. So I am taking the Browns to win, and I'm going over, same as you. Steven likes the Bengals to win that game. Moving over to the game that you are interested in. Just change the screen here. What the hell did I do?
Also, real quick, Kevin Stefanski, his ass is on the hot seat. It's not good if he does not have a good season this year.
No, 100%. What the hell did I do here? What's going on? Oh, okay. Jesus. See what happens when Steven's not here, Alon? I have no idea how to handle all this technical shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
San Francisco at the Pittsburgh Steelers, a game that we were both interested in. Two of the best defenses of football. The 49ers are favored by 2.5. I don't know if that's changed since Nick Bosa has signed. Has the spread changed at all, Alon?
It's no, I don't think so. I mean that hasn't moved anything. Nope.
And the over/under is at 41.5. Steven took the Pittsburgh Steelers straight up, and he likes the over. I think that I like the Pittsburgh Steelers a lot this season, but I think that just the continuity of the Niners will prevail here, and they got to get off to a good start. So I am going to take the Niners to win. I am going to lay the points with them on the 2.5, and I am going to go over. I think that both teams are going to score in the 20s. What say you?
This one's really tough because I think Mike Tomlin's always game to manufacture a win. I just don't think he's going to do it against the Niners, even at home. So I will take the Niners to win. I will take Pittsburgh to cover, and I'll take the under. So I think it's going to be a field goal heavy, very intense, old grinded out kind of game.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
Then we got the Green Bay Packers at Chicago, and basically a pick 'em. Chicago's favored by 1, and the over/under is at 43.5. Steven took Chicago, obviously laying the points, and he's going with the under.
I hate this game. I don't know who to pick. I'll take the under as well, and I'll take Green Bay. I'll just take Green Bay to win. I think if we're gonna see, I mean, I know it's a 1.5, and I know that Fields done a lot better in Chicago lately. He showed a lot of improvement last year, but I think this is a big moment for Jordan Love, and I think he comes in and gets a win. Doesn't mean that he's the savior or anything, but I think he gets it done.
I love the way you think, Alon, because I'm doing the exact same thing. I am taking the Green Bay Packers to win, and I'm taking the over. I just think that I think Jordan Love's actually going to do well. And I like the Green Bay Packers defense. Still not sold on Justin Fields and Chicago Bears, but I could be wrong. I think the addition of DJ Moore will help them out, but I like Green Bay in this game. Really good game. Miami Dolphins at the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3. The over-under is at 51. Steven took the Chargers, laying the points and going over. What about you, Alon?
I have the Dolphins winning this outright, so I think they'll cover and win. So if they win, they cover. And I got the under.
Got the under?
Yep.
All right, I like it. Against conventional wisdom. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you like the Dolphins?
I just think the Dolphins have so much speed. They can attack you in a number of different ways. I also think there's a lot of pressure on Tua in this game. I think that it's hard for him being... Like, he was the guy in college, and even though Herbert was as well, I just think this is a game where he's like, hey, I'm still here, and I should get some money too, not just being, on the end of my rookie contract kind of deal. So I think it's a big, I can show everybody I can still get it done. I'm still healthy, all these kinds of things. So I think he answers a lot of those questions.
Yeah, definitely with the comparison between Tua and Herbert, he's definitely... thought of as the mistake there. I'm going to go with Steven, though. I'm going to go with the Chargers to win the game. I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to go over. I think Teron Armstead not being there for the Dolphins is going to be a big deal, especially with Joey Bosa, now healthy, opposite Khalil Mack. Could be a big game for those guys. Then we're going to Seattle, where the Rams are taking on the Seahawks. Seahawks are favored by 5, and the over-under is 45. Cooper Kupp out, and he could be placed on IR with that hamstring injury. Steven's taking the Seahawks. He's laying the points, but he's going under on that 45. What about you?
I'm going under on the 45. I'm also taking the Seahawks to win, but I do think that the Rams somehow figure out a way to cover. I know it's a 4.5, but I think they'll figure out a way to cover, even without their best offensive weapon.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to be better than people think. Maybe not by that much, but not having Cooper Kupp is going to be rough, I think, in this game. And sounds like Jackson Smith-Njigba is actually going to play for the Seahawks. So I'm taking the Seahawks. I'm laying the points, but I am going under. I just don't see the Rams putting that many points when Matthew Stafford's favorite guy is not there. And we saw last year where he was running for his life and just throwing a cup in the blind spots, and that could be the case once again. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to New England. And the Eagles are favored by 3.5 with the over-under at 45. Steven's taking the Eagles. He's laying the points, but he's taking the under.
Oh, that's I think the Eagles win. They cover, and I think the over it hits in this game. Even though we haven't really seen what Bill O'Brien's going to do to fix New England's offense, I do think Philadelphia is lethal, and I think they're going to score.
I am with you. I think that the same exact thing. I think the Eagles will win. I'm laying the points, and I'm going over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game with both these teams, but more so in the Eagles' favor. Not that the Patriots have a good defense, but I just think the Eagles have too many weapons, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. And Tom Brady will have his day ruined as he's honored in New England. And then we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to Denver. All the intrigue with Sean Payton. How is he going to fix Russell Wilson? The Broncos are favored by 3.5, and the over-under is at 44. Steven is a terrible Raider fan. He took the Broncos. He's laying the points, and he's going under. Are you going the same way, Alon?
I take over in this game, and I take Las Vegas to win outright.
I am with you, except on the over-under. I think that it's going to take time for Sean Payton and the Broncos to start gelling. And despite Chandler Jones not being there, I think the Raiders' defense is going to play well. So I'm taking the Raiders to win. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I'm going under on the 44. Sunday night game, you got Dallas going to the Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys are favored by 3. Over under 46.5. Steven's taking the Giants to win and going over.
I will take the under in this game, and I have Dallas winning and covering in hostile territory.
I like it, but I don't love it. I'm going with Steven on this one. I think the Giants are going to win week 1 against the Cowboys. They always have to go to Dallas for these Sunday night games. Now it's flipped, and I think they're going to reap the benefits with a win, and it's going to be a little more high scoring. So I go over on the 46.5. And finally, Aaron Rodgers makes his debut against the Buffalo Bills, who are favored by 2.5, and the over is 46.5. Steven took the Bills. He's laying the points, and he's going over. What do you say, Alon?
So, biggest game on the docket because the best quarterback in the game, not named Patrick Mahomes, is in New York now. I will take the over, and I'm going to take the Jets to win outright.
I like it. I'm not there yet on the Jets. I got to see it before I believe it. And I think the same kind of deal with the Steelers and Niners. There's a lot of hype on the Steelers. I think they're going to be a good team, same as the Jets, but I like the continuity of the Bills a little bit better here. This team knows each other better than what the Jets know. So even though the Jets have a lot of talent, and I could pick the Jets when they go to Western New York later in the season, I'm taking the Bills now. I'm going to take the Bills to win. I'm laying the points, and I'm going over. I think it's going to be a really, really fun game. So there you go. Get rid of this music.
Oh.
You were digging it?
I was really jamming out there.
What are you doing for Texas Alabama later today? Just watching at the house? Or are you going to a sports book?
I haven't decided whether I'm going to go to sports bar, meet up with some people, or go to a book, or just chill and watch. It's a big game, but I'm very enthused about it, and I think Alabama's going to do really well. So it's not going to be one of those games where I'm like, I need to watch this alone with nobody else around, and I don't want to talk to anybody about it. It's not going to be one of those.
Close the blinds. I need to focus.
Yes. Close the. I need to replay the same play 19 times in a row and miss whatever the hell's going on in real time because I need to watch the game.
That's how I watch football with Greg when I'm.
That's how I watch football with my dad, and it's awful. It's like, I want to see that again. I'm like, do we really have? It's like a 3-yard run.
Sports is not designed anymore to go back and watch live. Like if you're gonna watch a replay of it, then that's the time to go back and watch. Let me see that play again. But when it's going on live, with too many fantasy shit going on now, it's like no, let's roll. Let's roll. Yeah, if it's close like last year, like I was pleasantly surprised by the 20-19 game a season ago, and I came away as that being a moral victory for Texas. If they manage to keep it close, I'll be happy. But I'm not expecting a win today. I'm expecting this to be many of ass kickings. The Crimson Tide give the Longhorns as they stupidly move to the SEC, which I am not a fan of. I'm not a fan of any of these conference expansions and the death of the Pac-12 and all that shit. I think it's stupid, but hey, money talks.
Yeah, money talks. At least Texas is kind of staying in the similar, closer region, I guess. Whereas Stanford and Cal are like, hey, let's go to the ACC.
I mean, Texas makes sense, but
yeah,
I like that the Texas A&M rivalry is reunited, but I just think the Longhorns think that they're so much better than everybody else, and they're going to have a rude awakening where they have a hard time competing with teams in the Big 12. You know, let's see what happens when they go to the SEC. Like, I don't know when. Well, Colorado's in the Pac-12 now, but I was going to say like when Texas plays Colorado. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have high hopes for the future of Texas. Now, Arch Manning could be a great quarterback, but I don't know. I do not know. I think that you guys are going to be sitting pretty as always. I think Nick Saban knows how to retool, but as far as Sark and just Texas football, I'm not high on the future.
I really like Sark, and I know he's kind of a meme for a little while, but hopefully he's completely turned the corner. And I think he's recruited really well at Texas. I think it's going to hurt them not to have Bijan Robinson this season. I think that's
Yeah,
really gonna hurt very badly. Even though they have Ewers back, and I think he's a really good college quarterback. I mean, like I think the guy's a playmaker in college. I think that's really good, and the fact they have Isaiah Nair or Jatavion Sanders, it's like they have players, they have skill people, but it's going to be hard for them against Bama. And I agree with you that this is a Bama team that is like gonna hand out some ass whippings, not just this season, but in the future to some of these other teams that are joining the conference. Because this team, I don't know if you watched any of the first game of the season for Bama against Middle Tennessee State. Don't blame you if you didn't miss that one. But
yeah. I didn't catch the money donation game for Alabama.
yeah, the average size of the offensive line for the Crimson Tide this year is like 6'6", 355 pounds. And they put up a graphic, and I didn't know this, but they put up a graphic. The heaviest offensive line in the NFL was like 335, 6'4", or something like that. And that was the New England Patriots. So it was like these 19, 20, 21-year-old kids are bigger than the New England Patriots. And then you just watch how they play, and you're like, oh, because that's the style they're going to play this year. So I think there's some reasons. I hate the conference realignment too, but it's nice that Texas gets to keep the rivalry with Oklahoma and A&M going. But yeah, I don't. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them today, and I think they'll be successful going forward, though, because they are Texas, the University of Texas. They got more money, more resources than anybody else, and they're better equipped than NFL teams. But it hasn't made a difference since Mac Brown left.
It hasn't. They're a bunch of boosters that are stubborn, thinking that Texas is the best in college football, and they're not. They haven't been in quite some time. I'll even argue ever. They have 2 national championships in their history.
Yep.
This arrogance is ridiculous to me. But we shall see. We shall see, and it's going to be a good weekend of football. We're watching Nebraska and Colorado right now, and Colorado has a 10-point lead. I think it's going to be 13 as they attempt a field goal going into halftime here. So let everybody enjoy that. We'll enjoy the weekend. Alon, thank you for joining me, man. Always a pleasure when you get to fill in for Steven, because you're better than Steven. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for filling in, as always. And thanks to all the people on the chat. We'll catch you guys on Tuesday when we react to everything that went down in week 1 of the NFL. So thanks to everybody. And as we always say on this podcast, if you want to do the honors, Alon, or I could do them if you remember the
I'll do it. But real quick, thanks, Derek, for having me on. And like I always say, anytime you guys need to fill in, I'm always here. And thanks everybody for watching or listening, wherever you are. Have a good weekend. And Derek, I went through a lot of your picks during the pick section, but it's just your opinion, man.